Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure if you'll see this live or if you'll see this later in your day or where you may happen to be in the world. But whatever time it is when you see this is Cassandra Terry, your manifesting miracle maker, and I am wishing you the best of your day. You guys probably know what today is. We've been doing this for a while. Today is Mindset Monday. And on Mindset Monday, we talk about the thing that is the core of everything that I coach about, everything that I teach, the mindset. And today's question is, do you value yourself? And that question is so important for you to ponder and come to an honest answer with yourself. You don't owe me or anyone else an answer, but if you can come to the answer for yourself, you set yourself up to create the life that you really desire. Because once you know how you feel and how you think about yourself, then you know where the work begins. It always begins in the mindset, but what is your mind saying to you about you? How do you feel about yourself? Ponder that question throughout the week. Come to a real answer. Don't judge the answer, because if you start to judge it as right or wrong, good or bad, you'll suppress it, and you won't allow yourself to freely think and get to a real response. So leave the judgment out of it and just try to hear your default thoughts, hear how things process through your mind. How do you receive a compliment? If I say to you, you're more worthy than gold, you're more valuable than diamonds, that you are good enough just as you are. You don't have to do anything differently. You don't have to be anything different. But just because you are valuable. How does that sit with you? Do you believe it? I hope you do, because it's the truth. And if you believe it, then you are halfway there. You're halfway there. I've been quoting Theodore Roosevelt quite a bit over the last week because I believe it was him that says, if you think you can, you're halfway there. Again, he was talking about mindset, how you think and what you think about yourself, your abilities, and what you feel like you deserve. If you've had a rough beginning or if you've had some difficulties in life, a lot of times those situations, even when they're over, leave behind some internal scars. And as people, we are so good about dealing with the external scars. If we see someone hurt, if someone's injured, God forbid they're bleeding, we jump in and we try to provide help. We can see those scars and we have an idea of what to do to help, right? But when it's the emotional scars that's left behind from difficult situations, from a difficult beginning, from it could be divorce, it could be the loss of a loved one, it could be the loss of a job, it could be anything that has traumatized that individual, they can internalize that situation and believe that one, they deserved that bad thing that happened to them, and two, that's all they deserve. They don't deserve the good things that happen. When you feel like that, especially when it's subconscious, when good things start to come your way, you're not in a position to receive them. You reject them. Sometimes you're afraid of them. You're too afraid to enjoy them, to really get into them because you don't think they're going to last anyway. So you begin to a cycle of self sabotage. You pray for this good stuff to happen. You try and manifest great things. You want the best out of your life. You think. But as soon as those things start to happen, you freeze. You become afraid. You doubt. And that's where mindset comes in. That's why we I like to talk about mindset so much, because if you can tap into that and you can really feel and hear what it is that you're processing, you've got all the opportunity in the world to change that. And that's what I teach as a mindset coach, as a mindset strategist, as a life coach. I work with my clients to help them really dig in. What's going on in there? What is standing between you, your right now, and the life that you want so badly? Because it's not desire. We all desire externally. We've got this desire for a particular life. There's things we want. There's the way we would like to see our lives unfold. But desire alone is just a wish, it's just a dream, right? So we have to dig in and figure out what's standing between where we are right now and the life that we desire. And the majority of the time, it's mindset. It is mindset. So this is Black History Month. And think about slaves. They were not living the life that they desired, right? And there was so many that were financially living from the work that those slaves were doing. So if those slaves could saw themselves as just slaves, because the people who owned them wasn't going to let them go, that was a part of their livelihood, right? But the slaves' mindset, their mentality, they saw themselves as more than that. They saw themselves as real people, regardless of how the country counted them. And because they saw themselves larger, I'm here and I'm not a slave, right? I'm a slave to my thoughts, but that's about it. And so on this Black History Month, it just came to me right now. When you talk about mindset, that's the ultimate example. You had a whole group of people who were systematically told that they were less than, that they were not even human beings. But today, you see the descendants of those people living wonderful lives, experiencing everything that the rest of the world experiences. So when people say I am my ancestors' wildest dream, absolutely. And that brings me so much joy to know that I stand on the shoulders of such strength, that I stand on the shoulders of such resilience, that I stand on the shoulders of people who say, despite my circumstance, despite what it looks like, despite what I am experiencing right now, I know that I'm more than that. I know that I'm better than that. I know that I deserve a different existence. And because they knew that, and because they did not allow their circumstances to control them, we have a different dynamic today. We have every opportunity in the world in front of us today. We just have to know it. We have to know it. There are so many times when our focus is external. I've got a boss who doesn't like me. My parents didn't do this. I've had nothing around me but poverty my whole life. And we allow our circumstances and our experiences to determine our future. Good morning, Melinda. Hello, Jacqueline. Thanks for joining in. Our circumstances, if we see them correctly, will empower us. But hard stuff is where strength is born. The hard stuff is where you meet yourself and you learn just how much oomph you have in you, right? When things are easy. You have no idea what you're capable of. But when you hit that wall and your only option is to figure out how to get over it, through it, around it, or go back in the other direction, the decision that you make sets up everything that's coming next. I tell people all the time, your comfort zone is not where you're going to find the life that you desire. Your comfort zone is you getting to the taking everything that's happened to you so far and making it as comfortable as possible, getting to a place where you feel safe, where you feel whole. But if you still got, and there's nothing wrong with that, safe and whole sounds good to me. But if you still have some burning desire in there, if there's still things that you want to accomplish, they're on the other side of that wall that you hit. Just on the other side is where you're going to start to pick up the pieces to put together the life that you so desire. So you've got to be willing. How am I going to tackle this wall? Am I worthy of what's on the other side of that wall? Am I capable of scaling this wall? And if I can't scale it, do I have the strength to run around it? If I can't get around it, am I willing to roll up my sleeves and dig under it? Those are the decisions that we make all the time. When we hit those walls, do we stop Or do we dig in and get busy and do the work to knock that wall down? If I can't get over it, if I can't get under it, am I willing to pull out a brick? Am I willing to start knocking that sucker down? I hope the answer is yes. When you hit a wall, that is no more than a test. It's a test of character. It's a test of your willingness to go after your dream. It's where everything begins. And so you get to decide how you're going to tackle that wall. My encouragement to you is just to make sure that you tackle it. Don't see the wall and go, "Oh, well, I can't get any farther than this," because that's where you'll pitch camp right there. And you'll build a life and you'll be comfortable. And if that's good, that's good. No one else gets to decide for you how and where and your life is supposed to be. No one gets to decide for you what it's supposed to look like. But if where you've pitched that tent right next to that wall, if that doesn't feel good to you, if you're looking for more, you've got a decision to make. Do I value myself enough to roll up my sleeves and do the work to tackle this wall? I believe for most of us, we've got a yes inside of us, but fear and self limiting beliefs will squash that yes every time. I'm almost, so fear, let me tackle that word fear for you. I think people have, there's a few ways that it's described. Forget everything and run, right? And I forgot the positive one, but I am almost at the end of having my version of fear trademark, and it's a fantasy explosion altering reality. When you're operating out of fear, a fantasy is the future. The past is gone. All of our lives are in the now. It's right now. What am I experiencing right now? Most of us, we're not experiencing anything right now because we're either stuck in the past and brooding over that, hurting over that, trying to figure out how to un- attach ourselves to that, or we're so worried about the future that we're acting as if what we think may be has already happened. And that's where the alternate reality comes in. Your reality is your right now. But if you're living ahead of right now, if you're so anxious about the future, your right now will be altered and you will move through life as if that horrible thing that you're concerned about is already happening. So your fantasy is exploding. You've got all these thoughts going on in your head, one thought after another. Before you know it, you're all worked up, you're all stressed out. That's the explosion. And your reality is altered because you're living in a future possibility versus what's going on right now. When we live in the right now, even when the right now is uncomfortable, even when things are not going the way we would like, when the right now is not that great, if we stay there, if we actually stick into that, we are in a position to do something about it. We can get creative. We can take a look at, okay, what's happening right now and how would I like for it to be different? When you start to ask yourself questions like that, you open up your mind for possibilities. You open up your heart for hope. You open up yourself to find a strength that you did not know was there. If you're so worked up about yesterday or so concerned about tomorrow, you never have the time to be creative to figure out how you can really enjoy and make the most out of right now. So think about that. What is happening right now? Is it what you would like or is it not? And if it's not, then start to ask yourself some questions. What can I do to change this? Do I have someone in my community, in my network, that has already experienced what I'm experiencing? Even if it's somebody like me who you just see over the glass. I've never met Jacqueline. Well, I have met Jacqueline. I've never met Melinda. So we know each other primarily through social media and conversations over the glass, right? But the reason I show up over the glass is because I've been through some stuff. I haven't gotten stuck in that stuff, right? I've been through a divorce, one of the most difficult things I've ever done because I had small children at the time. I've remarried and had to form a new family that included the family that I originally built, plus the new people that was coming in. My children have three really distinct families. They have me, their actual birth mom and dad. Each one of us are remarried. So they have their step parents, which we don't use that word. They've got their bonus mom and dad. And then they have, all the family that comes along with that. So it's really four because they have my family, they have their dad's family, and they have both of their bonus parents' family. So they had four sets of grandparents. And that's how we looked at it. We looked at it as an expanding family, not a war zone, not a they're going to spend more time with me than you. We did, even though we were in pain because we were going through the divorce, we'd made a decision that what we had wasn't working anymore. We still had small kids to deal with and raise and give the best life possible. So we didn't even do the full lawyer thing. We sat down together and decided how things were going to go. And then together we took that to an attorney and got it legitimized. And that's how we decided we were going to do life. Even though we were separating as a couple, we were still going to do life together because that was the best thing for our children. And I can't speak for how my ex-husband spoke to his now wife, but I can say that I met her very early on and that we started to build a relationship while she was building a relationship with my children. And I can tell you the conversations I had with my now husband. We'll be married 24 years in October. And when we started that conversation about whether or not we were going to try to move forward and form a relationship, I told him, if you marry me, you marry a package. And that package includes some children, two girls, and it includes their father. And it includes their father's family. Because I'm never going to put myself in a situation to where my children are trying to figure out whose side they were on, who they had to spend time with. And so sometimes I made some difficult choices, but the choice was only difficult for me, but it was soothing at the same time because I knew it was the best thing for my kids. These girls are in their 30s now, and we are grandparents. And we were all just together this past weekend because our grandson, turned 8 yesterday. So we still do life together. We were all, oddly enough, we are so much a family that we all just went on vacation together. We were all on a cruise together. So at one point, I was watching my ex-husband, my daughter, and my son-in-law play basketball together. Me and my husband were. At one point, I was getting ready to zip line, and my husband was on one side of the room, ship, so he could record me landing. And my ex-husband was standing there holding my stuff until we finished, and then we all met up in the middle and continued our journey. We were on a cruise, so most of the time we were all doing our own things, but we also came together and spent time with our children and our grandchildren. And we've done that now for almost 30 years. And now it's just natural. I love my ex-husband's wife. There became a point where I realized that I loved her. And that was when it dawned on me that if something happened to me, if I was no longer here, my children would miss me. There's no question about that. We have a beautiful bond, me and my kids, but they would still have a mom. And when I allowed myself to see her really as their bonus mom, when I allowed her to be as visible in their lives as she wanted to be, to bring her particular gifts and talents, things that I don't know how to do, she does very well. Things that I know how to do, she might not do very well. So when you put us together, the children's lives were enhanced versus them having to suffer through decisions that adults were making, decisions that were outside of their control. So, thank you, Franny. Franny's saying, what a beautiful compromise. And yeah, it was a compromise, and all of our lives were enhanced because of it. And I survived a divorce without the bitterness and a lot of things that come with it because the focus was on the kids. I valued my children. I valued the life of, the spirit of who my ex-husband is and was at the time. And I value myself. And so when you value yourself and other human lives, you make different choices. But it starts with you valuing yourself. I had to feel good enough about myself as a mom and about my relationship with my children. I had to have enough value in me to be comfortable with someone else having a mother role with them. It wasn't a motherly role. It wasn't a stepmom role. She really mothers my children. They're not going to do anything and she not be there. They're not going to be ill. The kids are not going to do, the grandkids. We're all going to show up. We have our own little entourage. When the kids are doing their little pee wee this and that, their sports events, it's hilarious because we show up like a drove of people come. They've got, all these parents and grandparents that show up for everything that they do. And people are often looking at us like, y'all know they're four, right? They're just trying to figure out how to kick a little soccer ball. Yeah, and we want to see every bit of it. We want to all sit and laugh when the granddaughter starts picking flowers and doesn't know that the ball rolled right by her. So we really enjoy life together. And because we've made that decision, our children and our grandchildren are healthier and whole. And so I take a lot of pride in that. We were really young back then, but thank God that we had enough oomph in us to make a good decision. And we all have that. But a lot of times we don't really make the decisions. We become victims of our circumstances and we just live life and we go through one day after another. You have to be intentional about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Know what your why is. So make a choice. Life is nothing more than a series of choices. And then we have consequences based on those choices. And consequences can be good or bad, depending on the choice you made, the road you decide to turn down, right? So don't just live on autopilot, allowing 1 hour to pass and the next hour to pass. Wake up, check in, realize that you've got a lot of control in how things go, and realize that you're making thousands of choices every single day. So when you know your value, when you know how worthy you are, the choices that you make will be different. So tap in, hear yourself, and then choose accordingly. The shirt I'm wearing today, you guys probably can't see it very well, but it's one of the shirts that's available on my website. And I created this shirt because it reminded me of the things that I need to say to myself. And it says, tell yourself daily, I am worthy. I am enough. I am capable. I am loved. So today, write I am and just fill in the blanks throughout the day and encourage yourself. Speak life over yourself. Give yourself the encouragement, the positivity that you need to make the good decisions, to start to rewrite some of the struggles that may be going on, some of the things that's happening inside your head that may be standing between you and the life that you desire. Okay? That is my encouragement for you today. I am. Right underneath my name on the screen, it says the voice within wins. The voice within wins. Whatever you are telling yourself, you're right. If you're telling yourself that you're enough, you're right. And you're going to act accordingly. If you're telling yourself that you're nothing, you're right. You're not right that you're actually nothing, but you're right that you're going to believe it. That's what you believe, and you're going to act accordingly. So, my challenge to you is to hear yourself and to be very, very careful and strategic about what you say to yourself. I've got a free online course out there, guys. It's called Transforming Your Inner Critic into Your Inner Advocate. You have to advocate for you. You have to be your best friend. You have to be the one to tell yourself, you got this. You can do it. Look in the mirror and like who you see and encourage yourself every day throughout the day. That's the challenge. So on this Mindset Monday, I'm asking you to be mindful of what you're saying about yourself and how you're thinking about yourself, and where things are not serving you, change them, rewrite them, because the voice within wins. I encourage you to take the course. It will help you connect to that inner voice and start to rewrite some of those things. It's not going to cost you anything but time, and you deserve it. You deserve that time. You put it into everything else. It's time that you start taking care of yourself and giving yourself the tools that you need to make the journey from here to the life that you desire. All right, guys, I am Cassandra Terry, your manifesting miracle maker, wishing you a wonderful, wonderful Monday, Mindset Monday. The voice within wins. So be mindful of what that voice is saying about you. Happy Monday, guys.